Right now, the day's biggest news stories from a Vegas perspective. This is the Vegas Take with Sharp and Shapiro.
Oh yeah, what's up Las Vegas? Friday, and we've made it through another week. Another Corona week, ladies and gentlemen. By that, I don't mean alcohol. Welcome back to the show. Sharp and Shapiro, broadcasting live from my kitchen. Sad news to report. I wish I could report on positive news to start the show. But since yesterday, we've gained almost 50,000 across the country that have contracted the coronavirus. And now, yesterday we were a bit over 5,000. Now we're over 6,000 people that have died in this country from the coronavirus, 55,000 worldwide, and we've surpassed the million mark across the world of those that have contracted the virus. So sad news to report. I wish we didn't have to do this. But ladies and gentlemen, those are the facts. Those are the facts. Coming up in hour number 2, we're going to speak to a pastor by the name of Rick Wiles. He made some very controversial statements in regards to Jewish people and the coronavirus. And he's also one of those people that believes that all churches should stay open, regardless of what the government tells us, and regardless of what the doctors and the specialists tell us. So he's going to be joining us coming up in hour number 2. Hour number 3, we're going to speak to UNLV Athletic Director Desiree Reed-Francois. Obviously, she's been very busy and trying times for her as well over the course of the last month. Besides having a family here in Las Vegas herself, she's had to make some very difficult decisions. Before all of Las Vegas was basically on a government shutdown, she shut down UNLV and the athletic department before, so I give her credit for that. So she's going to be joining us coming up in hour number 3, along with the voice of the Vegas Golden Knights. He really does a great job for the Knights, but he hasn't been much of a voice lately because he hasn't really had a job. There have been no hockey games, no NHL games, no Vegas Golden Knights games. Dan Duva will be joining us coming up in hour number 3. And we probably have arguably one of the best Donald Trump impersonators, impersonating Donald Trump, getting a test for the coronavirus. It is beyond hilarious, and at a time when we probably need to laugh a little bit. So we'll get to all that. As I said, jam-packed show on a Friday. We talk about the responsibility of our politicians, the things they say, of course, the policies and what they do. And that's really important. Throughout the country, we all have a responsibility just as citizens to be responsible during difficult times, especially when you have a platform, even if you're a celebrity, whoever you are. The bigger your platform, the more important it is for you to get things right. But what about if you're a governor? What if you're Brian Kemp, the governor of Georgia? Ladies and gentlemen, it is the governor of Georgia, Brian Kemp, who claimed in a press conference that he didn't even know until this week that the virus could be spread by people who didn't show symptoms. Let me tell you something, folks. It's either pure ignorance or this guy's lying. It's one or the other. Maybe it's both. Maybe he's a liar and he's incompetent. I don't know. But take a listen to this audio because I think this is very, very troubling, and it should be troubling to you as well. I don't care whether he's a Republican or a Democrat. This guy cannot be in office. This is Brian Kemp, the governor of Georgia, in his own words. Have a listen to this.
Finding out that this virus is now transmitting before people see signs. So what we've been telling people from directives from the CDC for weeks now, that if you start feeling bad, stay home. Those individuals could have been infecting people before they ever felt bad. Well, we didn't know that until the last 24 hours. And as Dr. Toomey told me, she goes, this is a game changer for us.
Are you effing kidding me? This guy didn't know until the last 24 hours that this virus could be spread in that way? We knew this weeks ago. Imagine how many lives this guy could have saved. Now he has blood on his hands because of his stupidity. How can anybody support Brian Kemp in any office, in any power? I wouldn't trust this guy in the mailroom. How can anybody trust this guy? Like I said, folks, is it possible to be that ignorant? See, I don't even think it's ignorance. I think he's dumb for admitting that in a press conference. I think it's incompetence, and I think he's lying. Somebody had to have told him in the last few weeks that this virus could be spread like that. Somebody had to have told him. And I think he's completely incompetent, just like the governor of Florida, who now decided to put them on a government shutdown, but allowed kids to party it up on the beaches and waited and waited and waited until maybe it was too late. Thank you, Governor Brian Kemp. Well, let me tell you something, folks. Let me tell you something.
And thank you, Mayor Bill de Blasio, too, on March 3rd for telling your New Yorkers that it was okay to go out. You only have 102,000 cases in your state right now. So congrats to you as well.
I want to give congrats, and positive congrats, not sarcastic congrats, to Governor Sisolak. And I know there's a lot of people on the right that are attacking him because they are buffoons. But Governor Sisolak did the right thing. There was a lot of pressure on him. A lot of people were in his ear. No, Governor, you cannot shut down all the casinos on the Strip. It'll kill the economy. Governor, you can't do that. It's going to put a lot of people out of work. Governor, no. Governor Sisolak did something that a lot of other governors, like the idiots of the world, like Brian Kemp, and maybe de Blasio as well, like some of the morons that are running, that are politicians throughout the country, he did something that I don't think a lot, I shouldn't say a lot, but some would not have done. He shut down the Strip. He said, that's it. He put down his fist and said, this is serious. This is about saving lives. And I give Governor Sisolak credit. And I also give him credit for extending it. And I think he's going to extend it again. If you hadn't heard, it has been extended till April 30th. While we criticize politicians and while we criticize governors, you have to be positive. And you want to be positive? Well, let's give Governor Sisolak just a little bit of credit.
That being said, we're about to have the highest unemployment rate probably of any state in the last 80 years in the United States.
Well, you know what? My thoughts on that is I'd rather have a higher unemployment rate, than a higher death rate, okay? A higher unemployment rate than a higher death rate.
Our death rate is about 2%.
And you know what? There's not a lot of people working.
And Georgia's death rate is about 2% right now.
Well, to use that as a negative on the governor is to me ridiculous.
I'm not saying, but what I am saying is you're going to notice. I mean, you're going to notice the fact that that 20% of the state of Nevada and probably even 25% of the city of Las Vegas is about to be unemployed.
So what should the governor have done then? Did he make a mistake by closing down the Strip?
No, I'm not suggesting that at all. Okay. But I don't think that he's going to close it down again for another 30 days. I think it'll start. I think it'll open back up on May 1st.
Well, again,
simply because you can't have 20 to 25% unemployment for 2 months.
Well, again, I think he's going to have to reassess that in a few weeks. I think it's still a little bit early to make that judgment. I mean, certainly we could put hypotheticals out there. We'll have to wait and see where we're at the end of April. Would it be nice to see people go back to work? Of course, absolutely. But if we're still at a peak, and doctors are saying that peak should end in a few weeks, but if we're still at a peak and things aren't dropping, look at New York today. They had the deadliest day ever.
Yes, New York has 102,000 cases. They have 3,000 deaths. Nevada has 1,500 and about 36, I believe.
Yeah.
So a peak for us would be maybe 400 cases. We had 179 yesterday.
And in New York, it was just short of 600 deaths in 24 hours, which is the deadliest day they've had. So it ain't going down in New York. And there's no signs that it's going down throughout the country. All I'm saying is I give Governor Sisolak credit for doing what he needed to do while many criticized him. Where are all the right-wingers when it comes to Brian Kemp, this buffoon who they call the Georgia governor? Great job, Georgia. Really smart voters out there. You got a guy that is a nitwit, an absolute nitwit. So I ask you, what was it? Was it stupidity? Was it incompetence? Or is he lying, JD? Which one is it? Which one is it?
How am I supposed to know, Brian?
Well, I don't know either.
Okay, all right.
But
so that being said, we none of us know. I was shocked that he made the statement that he did. I was absolutely floored. I didn't expect that. I mean, coronavirus has been on top of every single news outlet for the last 25 days. The entire country has been locked down. There's been a lot of discussion about, if you do some real digging, I guess not a real digging, but you have to do a little bit of digging to find out about the asymptomatic cases and the mild cases and who's the most contagious and the least contagious. So it's possible he didn't do that digging, but I'm very surprised that he was not aware that the virus could be spread by those who weren't actively showing symptoms.
At the very least, we could agree it's incompetence. Now, why it was incompetence, is he just a dummy? I think that's possible. Is he lying? I think that's possible. Could be a little bit of both. I don't know. But we all agree that this guy's done a horrendous job so far. And by the way, someone else I want to talk about in the Trump administration who has zero experience of doing anything but spending his daddy's money is Jared Kushner.
Who did a great job yesterday doing the press conference.
Well, son-in-law. Did I say son? Son-in-law.
No, but his dad has money.
Dad has a lot of money.
His dad has money.
Yeah. Son-in-law. Jared Kushner. Now, you say he did a fantastic job. All
I
right.
said he did a good job.
Well, this is Jared Kushner on the federal stockpile. I want you to have a listen to this audio. This is Jared Kushner in his own words yesterday.
And you have instances where in cities they're running out, but the state still has a stockpile. And the notion of the federal stockpile was it's supposed to be our stockpile. It's not supposed to be state stockpiles that they then use. So we're encouraging the states to make sure that they're assessing the needs, they're getting the data from their local situations, and then trying to fill it with the supplies that we've given them. The same thing with the masks.
All right. So first of all, Jared Kushner also added.
Do you know what Kushner's role is in this, Brian?
I do, but I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the other comments.
Well, we should precursor that though with what his role is.
Go ahead.
Well, Mike Pence has basically assigned him to be in charge of distribution of all the products from FEMA to the states.
Okay. What kind of job do you think he's done so far?
I think he's done a good job so far.
Okay. Well, Jared Kushner yesterday is the one that said his father heard from a few of his friends yesterday the dire straits that New York is in regards to ventilators. And I raised my eyebrows on that because that's what it takes. It takes Donald Trump, some of his friends. What about the Governor Cuomo and what he's been preaching for the last few weeks? What about all the doctors and nurses that are on national television every day that are talking about the dire straits that they are in? What about the close to 600 people that died yesterday? What about the death toll? But Jared Kushner, in his own words, said, I spoke to my father-in-law today, and he said he heard from a few of his friends. I have serious problems with that, and I was shocked. I was shocked to hear Jared Kushner say those things. But I guess my question to you...
Do you think that Donald Trump or anyone in his administration right now is getting anywhere near New York, Brian? No one's there.
No, but I do think that they should probably pick up the phone and speak to the governor a little bit more and maybe speak to some doctors, not their friends.
And I think they have had conversations.
Why would
with
Jared
the
Kushner
governor.
say that then?
I don't think Jared Kushner has spoken with the governor, but I think that Donald Trump, and I know Donald Trump has spoken with
then
Cuomo.
Why would
I'm very certain that Mike Pence has had the same conversations with Governor Cuomo.
So why would Jared Kushner say that?
Because maybe he hasn't talked to Cuomo. Maybe he's talked to his father, who is still in New York City right now.
No. Why would Jared Kushner say that about Donald Trump? Jared Kushner said that he spoke to his father-in-law, and the president told him yesterday that he heard through a few of his friends that New York was going through some difficulties with ventilators.
Is it possible that Jared Kushner's father-in-law is friends with Governor Cuomo in New York? And that's one of his
Why
friends?
wouldn't he say that then? Why wouldn't he say that the president spoke to the governor of New York? Why would he say that?
Who else do you think Trump is talking to a CEO of a Fortune 500 company in New York, or who is he having the conversation with?
Well, why would you be talking to a CEO?
So you're nitpicking Jared Kushner because he said that his father-in-law, Donald Trump, said that he talked to his friends, and his friends, it could include Cuomo, it could include de Blasio, it could include anyone in power in New York State.
Then if you have the position that Jared Kushner has, then you need to be a little bit more specific than that. And you need to say, well, the president spoke to the governor of New York, the president spoke to the CEO, blah, 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 blah. You're on a national stage.
And so you're shocked that he said friends instead of actually specifying exactly who he spoke to.
Instead of Trump speaking to quote-unquote friends, I would like the president to speak to the experts, to the governor, to the doctors, to the people that are on the front lines. You know, the problem I have, it's what I have every day with these politicians. We spoke about Devin Nunes yesterday. You have a responsibility when you have a platform to be factual, to be specific, especially when this country is in dire straits right now. Again, we could lie to you, and we can give you a laundry list of positives, and then we can say that, well, on April 30th, people are going to be up in arms, and people are going to be marching, and there's going to be strikes, and people are going to have their guns out, and all that nonsense. Or we could just give you facts. And the fact is that there are politicians throughout the country that are saying irresponsible things that really have blood on their hands. I really believe that. We talked about Devin Nunes yesterday and the idiotic remarks that he's made over the course of the last several weeks. We have the Georgia governor, Brian Kemp, who said he didn't know until yesterday that this virus could be spread the way it spread that we knew several weeks ago. What? So my question to the listeners out there right now, and I'll give out the number, is what do you think about that? What do you think about a guy like a Brian Kemp, the Georgia governor? Do you think that he should be stripped of his title as governor? Should he be kicked out of office? The number to call, 702-257-5396. Again, that number, if you want to be a part of the conversation, that number is 257-5396. 5396. I think these politicians, they have a responsibility. And I'll tell you something, I praise Governor Sisolak. Am I a huge fan of his? No, not really. He made the right decision. He simply made the right decision. He did the right thing. He shut down the Strip when he was getting a lot of backfire, particularly from those on the right. He did the right thing. And I think it is the responsibility of those in office, those who hold office, those who have a platform, to be factual. Again, that number to call if you want to be a part of the program, 702-257-5396. Again, that number, 257-5396. Getting your thoughts on the comments of the governor of Georgia, Jared Kushner's comments yesterday, and we'll take some phone calls. Let's start off with Jim. Jim, thanks for calling into the Vegas Take. What's on your mind? Jim, are you there?
Hello, Jim.
Did we lose Jim? 702-257-5396 is the number to call if you want to be a part of the program. Let's go to Marge. Marge, you're next on the Vegas Take. What's going on?
Hey, Marge.
Hi. Happy day after Groundhog Day.
Yeah, thanks, Marge. What's on your mind?
As far as the Governor Kemp, now what's interesting is CNN's headquarters is in Atlanta, Georgia. They have been broadcasting nonstop about what's going on. It's kind of surprising that he has never tuned into his local station, that's hubbed in Atlanta.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That makes absolutely no sense.
Well, and also the CDC is in Atlanta as well.
Which makes it even worse.
Yeah. I mean, it's doubly worse. As far as throwing him out of office, I don't know what his term is, but I think that certainly is a campaign issue, the next time he runs for office.
Can I make a correlation? This reminds me a little bit of Mike Pence years ago. This was around the year 2000. When Mike Pence was in office, he said that he didn't think cigarettes could kill people. To me, this is right. This is right up there, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah. And as far as the governor of Florida, it's interesting that the governor of Florida let all those vacationers, shall we say, from colleges, be on the beaches, et cetera. But that was for profit. And then he closes everything down right after.
You make a good point there. Let me ask you this, Marge. What do you think is the reason why this governor of Georgia did this? I mean, there has to be a reason, right? He can't be that stupid. I mean, maybe he is, but I don't. I mean, what's the reason?
Well, don't forget, particularly Atlanta is a very much of a business community. There are a lot of major corporations down there. And
that's a good point.
Profit.
That's a good point. You're right. That's a good point. Marge, it's always good to hear from you. We appreciate the phone call.
Thanks for the call, Marge.
702-257-5396. Let's go to Kathy. Kathy, you're next on the Vegas Take. Let's go to John. John, you're next.
Hey, what's up, John?
Hey, man. JD,
what's up, John?
I'm still going to hold you to that bet, JD. Dinner of your choice when Trump gets trounced in November.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Good luck to you.
But, hey, the most outrageous thing I heard yesterday was Pence got up there and said, we're sending 200,000 masks to New York City. Like, the federal government's in action, and we're using the full force and power of the federal government to help solve this problem. And then he got pressed, and lo and behold, guess what's really happening is those masks are being sent to a commercial warehouse where they'll be sold to the highest bidder for profit. What a disgrace.
Are you talking about 3M?
I'm not sure who the corporation was, but it was 200,000 N95 masks.
Okay, well, the news came out that New York's been having to spend about $7 per mask instead of 85 cents because a company called 3M is building these masks, and instead of stockpiling them and sending them to these states, they're actually sending them out of the country and selling them to Canada, and they're about to be just destroyed by the U.S. government.
While you're on the phone, though, John, I think we should give praise to somebody, and that is the owner of the New England Patriots. Kraft sent his own private New England Patriots jet to China, and I believe millions of masks were sent back to this country. I want to give him a ton of credit where credit is due. And you know what? He's not going to have to get in front of a podium and plug the Patriots and his organization. We all should just give him credit for doing what he did. And, a lot of other people are helping. Bill Gates. There's a lot of people in this country with a lot of money that are helping, and then there's some people with a lot of money in this country that are not helping.
And then I'd like to give credit to Sheldon Adelson, who made a statement that anyone who owns a business should be paying their employees at least 2 months.
Well, yeah.
Las Vegas' own Sheldon Adelson made that statement.
The problem, gentlemen, is there's no leadership from the White House. He came out yesterday and said we're the backup for the states. So
Which
you
they
have
are.
a situation where, this is a war. He wants to be called a wartime president. But then he comes out and says he's a backup. We have a situation where there's a shortage of PPE supplies. The government should be in charge of directing where they should be mandating that the corporations produce these at a reasonable cost and mandating where they go. They should go where the need is greatest, not into the commercial market where they go to the highest bidder.
John, you're not going to I agree with you, John. I appreciate the phone call, and you're not going to hear an argument from me. The man who wants to be called the wartime president is the man who dodged the military 4 times.
Completely irrelevant. Has nothing to do with anything, Brian.
No, shows that he's a coward.
No, it doesn't show anything.
That he's a coward.
And you don't even know if that's true.
Yes, I do.
No, you don't.
Yes, I do.
No, you don't.
It was the doctor's own family that came forward.
And that means it's true?
Yeah, I'd say that's pretty good evidence.
Sure.
So you don't think the president dodged the military? You think he has bone spurs?
I don't have factual evidence that he actually dodged the military for bone spurs, and neither do you.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
Comparing that, no, you don't. And comparing,
Yes, I do.
no, you don't.
Yes,
and
I do.
comparing, I'm not going to say it again, Brian, but you know my answer. And comparing that to this is not even the same conversation.
Okay.
It doesn't make him a coward.
When
Brian.
excuse me, if you dodge the military 4 times, it does make you a coward. Number one, and number two, the doctor who said he had bone spurs, his family has come forward and said that it was total crap. So I don't think you should just throw that away and say that's not evidence.
Is there documentation of that?
Is there documentation
from the
that he
doctor.
had bone spurs?
Yeah, from
yes.
the doctor.
Yeah, from this, and the family is saying that it was BS.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you're telling me that the doctor created false evidence?
Okay, so you're right. The family's lying.
No, I'm just saying.
No, you're right.
Okay,
I agree.
all right.
You're
Thank
right.
you.
The doctor's family's
Thank you.
completely lying. You're right.
I'm happy about that.
702-257-5396 is the number to call. Let's go to Roy. Roy, I got about 30 seconds for you, my friend. I apologize. I'm up against a break. What's up, Roy?
Hey, what's up, Roy?
Okay. Hey, JD, I listen to the show because of you. You are a great voice of reason. Thank you.
You're welcome, Roy.
But the Brian Kemp thing, I got family in Georgia. I'm a Republican, but I never liked. I didn't think he was the right choice for governor. I don't think the Republican that should have been the governor. They didn't. The Republican Party didn't stand behind him, and they took up with Brian Kemp. But this whole thing about the states, when.
Sir, I don't want to cut you off. Are you willing to stay to the other side of the break, and then I'll give you more time? Fair deal? Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you for your patience.
Thanks, Roy.
We got to pay the bills, my friend. I got to take a quick break. Hang on the line. We'll get back to you on the other side. Also, on the other side of the break, it'll be JD's positive take of the day. So JD will be giving us a positive take. And some, listen, we do say a lot of things on this show. I know I do, and I speak the truth. But, with that being said, some things that are not going to get your hopes up. So JD's take of the day, positive take of the day will be coming up next. We'll take more of your phone calls on the other side. 257-5396. Take a break. Be back right after this. Welcome back. It is the Vegas Take, Sharp and Shapiro. So we're broadcasting live from my kitchen, and I have to tell you, folks, I'm sorry if you're eating breakfast right now, but my co-host, J.D. Sharp, just laid the biggest fart in the history of farts, and it was so bad, my producer had to get up and walk out onto my porch, and I'm stuck here, and I really feel like I want to vomit. We're talking about a lot of serious issues. The one good thing is that was a good COVID test, because myself and our producer, we do have a sense of smell.
Well, so I'm going to get on Amazon and order one of those N95 masks immediately, but it's not because of coronavirus.
Well, Stein,
absolutely disgusting.
It sounds like the recommendation, despite the fact that CDC before and everyone else before said that only those who have the virus should be wearing this mask, but it sounds like the new recommendation is anyone at all should be wearing a mask when they go out in public or when they're out in public. So it's probably not the worst idea for you.
This is a lose-lose situation for me, because if I tell him to use the restroom, he's going to use all my toilet paper, and then if he sits here, he's going to stink up the place. You light a match, we're all on fire. So it's a lose-lose situation.
I call that a win-win.
Not for me, JD, not for me. By the way, you could still smell it. That was just awful. All right, so we had Roy on the line. The number to call, by the way, if you want to be a part of this show, we were talking about the governor of Georgia, who is an absolute buffoon. We were talking about his comments, saying in the last 24 hours, we just learned that you can contract the virus by human contact and breathing on somebody. We were talking about that, talking about Kushner's comments, and, of course, we're taking your phone calls at 702-257-5396. You can bring Roy back on the line. Roy called at the end of the last segment, and I wanted to give him ample time. Roy, you were talking a little bit about the governor of Georgia and his remarks. Thank you for waiting patiently on hold. Go ahead, Roy.
Hey, what's up, Roy?
Hey, what's up, guys? You know, the thing, too, that I wanted to say is about I don't understand. It's like, who is in control? Now, when the president tries to, fight with the states about illegal immigration, about sanctuary cities, they take them to court and say, hey, you're not in control of us. We when the EPA, California fight, they say we can do what we want to do. We don't have to listen to the federal government.
That's a valid point.
And then when you need help, then you cry, oh, why aren't you not helping us? Trump's not doing his job. You should come and help us. Which one is it? Do you want the federal government to interfere in state laws when you think it benefits you, but when you think you need help from the government, then they're not doing their job? You can't have.
Are you asking me that question? I'll gladly answer that. Here's what I want from the President of the United States, and I don't think it's asking too much. When the President of the United States holds a coronavirus press conference, I don't want him to talk about how great the ratings are at the press conferences. If somebody asked him a difficult question, but a fair question, like about ventilators, why are we not having testing per capita in this country like they're doing in South Korea? What I want him to do is I want him to answer the question to the best of his ability. I don't want him to attack reporters, and that's what he has done. Now, you can make the argument, some of these reporters are out to get him. Okay, fine. Rise above it in this time. Show leadership and show class. Never have I once said on this show that President Trump is solely responsible for what is going on in this country.
Brian,
but I want him to show. But I want him to show a little bit of
You know what they're
leadership.
trying to do, right? They're trying to get in these gotcha moments that they're trying to get out of
It's not
Trump.
a gotcha moment.
No, listen, it is because
No, it's not.
Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer are putting together a task force to investigate Donald Trump's response to the coronavirus.
And they're
so
allowed to do that.
all these questions are being set up so that if Trump does make a stupid statement where it gets out that he did something he shouldn't be doing in these press conferences, that Schumer and Pelosi are going to try to impeach him again.
Here's where you're failing.
No,
to
I'm not
understand.
failing to understand anything.
I'll
No,
give you my
that's
opinion.
exactly what's going on.
That's your opinion.
And he actually talked about that yesterday. He said it's a giant waste of time and money, which it is,
Well, I'm sure he
and
would
it's
go
going to increase his poll ratings, which it will.
Okay, so let me
Because
explain.
no one wants. I mean, the fact that if Pelosi and Schumer are legitimately serious about putting together a coronavirus and Schiff presidential response task force team to look to start an investigation. Do you have any idea how ridiculous that is, Brian? And it proves that what the Democrats have been looking for since day one is a way to gain political power out of this national crisis. That's what that means, Brian. So, yeah, it is ridiculous. I really hope it doesn't happen. And if it does happen, Trump is going to be more popular than he has ever been because the American people don't want it either. There might be a small percentage that do, but the majority of the American people, including Mark Cuban, who actually said yesterday, Donald Trump has done a very, very good job considering what he's been dealt with. They don't want to deal with this crap, Brian.
All right, so I will respond to your 2-minute right-wing filibuster.
It's not a right-wing filibuster.
Okay, so the first thing I will say is this. This isn't about campaigning, and this isn't about what a great job the president is doing. If the Democrats – by the way, this isn't just about statements. What you need to understand is this, and I think this is the key point that I'm trying to make here. When the president gets up on a stage and he says that it's going to go from 15 cases to close to 0, that affects people and it affects their behavior. When the president says that we can go back to work, people are feeling better. They're going back to work. That affects people's behaviors. When the president says, I'm hopeful that we can get back to normal by Easter, some people, some idiots, will take that as, everything's going to be fine. And then they go out and then they get sick. Now, what does that mean by changing people's behaviors? It means possible deaths because people listen to the president of the United States and they take his lead and then they could get sick and then they could die. Now, if the Democrats want to investigate, I have no problem with them investigating. But right now, the number one priority on both sides of the aisle, no question, should be how do we get this country out of this mess? How do we protect America? How do we save lives? And then once it is safe to be out in the public, then let's get the economy back on track. 702-257-5396 is the number to call. Again, 702-257-5396. Right now, I believe it is time to go to JD's positive take of the day. That's right. It's a new segment we are doing here on this show.
That's really great.
I just can't stay inside all day. I gotta get out, give me some of those red.
That song makes the coronavirus leave my body. I got to tell you, that is some positive stuff there. Listen, in all seriousness,
I wanted to hear Graduation by Vitamin C.
Well, in all seriousness, we speak a lot of facts on this show, and it's very grim. I don't care whether you put on Fox News or CNN. It's going to be a lot of negative news. You're going to hear about more deaths. You're going to hear about more people contracting the virus. So now this is JD's chance to shine. It is the JD positive take of the day. JD, take it away.
My opportunity to shine, Brian?
Yes.
Okay, well, the positive take of the day, but it has a little bit of a negative undertone to it. But hydroxychloroquine and azithromycin, the combination drug, was just called the most. It was ranked by 6,000 doctors across the world, not just in the United States, in I believe 300 different cities. And hydroxychloroquine was ranked number 1 as the most effective to treat COVID-19. And azithromycin was ranked number 2 as the most effective to treat COVID-19. So that means that the combination of hydroxychloroquine and azithromycin is universally accepted now. And this is the drug that President Trump touted, that I've been touted. And these are the doctors and the experts, Brian. You want to listen to the doctors and the experts. Well, they have spoken in this situation. But it is the most effective drug, according to 6,000 doctors across the world, to treat COVID-19. The issue with that is when American doctors were asked how many of them actually have been prescribing this drug, only 23% of them said they have. So my question is, how many people have died because they have not been given the best possible drug to treat COVID-19 in the United States? And would those people have died? And if Donald Trump had not backed the drug as a potential game changer on national television, and a couple of governors, including Sisolak and Gretchen Whitmer, if those two governors, along with a lot of the media, had not said, this isn't proven, there hasn't been clinical trials, et cetera, despite the fact that people by the hundreds and thousands are dying every single day. But how many citizens in the United States were not given that treatment that could have been either their viral load could have been reduced, or their symptoms could have been reduced, and their life could have been saved? And that's the negative slant to it. So the positive is there is something, this drug, the hydroxychloroquine, azithromycin, which I've discussed ad nauseum the last week and a half before Trump even made his statement, because of the studies that took place in France that you questioned a couple of times. But 6,000 doctors are saying that is by far the most successful treatment against COVID-19.
And also, JD, you sent me a couple stories that there's some emerging vaccines.
Yeah. So
Pittsburgh is doing something.
University of Pittsburgh believes that they've tested a vaccine in mice, and they believe that they possibly have the coronavirus vaccine figured out. I don't know how long that's going to take to get into circulation. I'm sure 12 to 18 months. 12 to 18 months doesn't help us, though, Stein. What we need now is a treatment. We need some type of therapeutic drug, which apparently we have, but we're not 77% of the United States is not being issued that drug. So we have that drug, but what we need right now is a drug that can stop deaths, that can reduce the pressure in the hospitals, reduce the number of ICU beds, and give us the opportunity to go back to work. Because right now none of us can. That's why we can't go anywhere, because we don't know. Well, once we get this virus, if it's bad enough, the general thought process is right now that there is nothing that can treat it. And it sounds like, according to these 6,000 doctors, that is totally incorrect.
I'm feeling more hopeful. How about you, Brian?
Absolutely not. Here's why. My opinion hasn't changed for...
So these doctors and experts don't matter.
Can I just finish my sentence, please? Thank you. My opinion hasn't changed. You have to let me finish my sentence in the last month or two, and that is this. I hope this drug works. I hope it saves lives, but I'm not going to listen to the president, and I'm not going to listen to the politicians. Here's what I am going to listen to, as you just said, the doctors and the nurses. I want them to do their job, and I want them to continue studying as fast as they can, but safely as they can. And we've heard from some of the doctors in the Trump administration that say they only have about 50% of the data right now. They need more data.
Okay, so these 6,000 doctors, they don't matter to you.
It's not what I just said.
Because it wasn't Fauci.
It's not what I just said.
No, Brian, you just
not what I just
you
said.
Just
You're not listening to me. You're responding out of anger instead of actually listening to my words.
I'm not responding out of anger,
okay,
Brian.
So I'll repeat it again.
It's very ridiculous what you just said.
It's ridiculous.
I just quoted 6,000.
Well, you interrupted me
I quoted 6,000 doctors across the world.
Okay. How many doctors in this country? out of those 6,000 doctors?
I don't know, Brian.
Okay.
I'm sure the number is at least 500 or 600.
Okay. So as I said earlier, and I'll repeat myself again because I'm not sure if you heard me, I will listen to the doctors and the nurses and the clinical studies that have been done, and then when they deem that it is safe for everyone to use, whether they're in dire straits or whether they just contracted the virus, I am totally good with it as long as it saves lives and it is safe. I have no problem with
Brian, it's not going to be safe for everyone. There's going to be people who are going to have side effects
So
to
let
it,
the
like
doctors-
just like any other drug on the planet. But if 80% of the people that are given the drug who have their viral load reduced and their chances of getting better is increased, then you have to support that. You
So
can't
let the
you can't
doctors-
have the thought process that if this drug isn't a one size fits all for everyone
That's
who takes
not-
it,
that's not what I
it's
said.
not a vaccine.
Again,
There's a total difference here.
Again, you're taking what I said completely out of context,
Actually, I'm
so
not.
I will repeat it
I'm
for
not-
a third
not at
time.
all.
So I will say it again for a third time if I wasn't clear the first two times. I'm going to listen to the doctors and the experts, let them do their clinical trials, give it to people that they deem need it, and then hopefully we'll get more data as the days and weeks pass by. I understand there's some urgency there, and if it works, I think that is an absolute great thing, and that is exactly what we want. I don't know how it could be more clear than that, and I don't understand why you would say my opinion is ridiculous, because it's actually the opposite of that. It's safe and it's logical, and we want people to get help. So let's move on now. Let's take some phone calls. 702-257-5396. Before we do that, I just want to mention this real quickly. Howard Stern has had a friendship with Donald Trump for decades. Trump has made many appearances on his show, even when president. He hasn't made a lot of appearances since being president of the United States, but they've had a relationship and a friendship. And Howard Stern's one of those guys that, for the most part, he tells it like it is. He's never really been extremely critical of Donald Trump until the last few days. Here's what he said about Donald Trump, and a lot of this has to do with the press conference where Donald Trump was boasting about how high his ratings were during these coronavirus press briefings, which I think any logical person would say is utterly disgusting and ridiculous. He said, this is in regards to Donald Trump. Howard Stern said, quote, "It's not your incredible reality TV show that you're putting on for the country. It's because we're in a crisis and we're tuning in to see what the president has to say. We're looking for leadership, MFers." He also went on to say, as far as Donald's concerned, Donald thinks he's the best president there ever was. I can honestly tell you that Donald doesn't give one blank about public service. He also said, he also said there were a million questions I could have asked that I think would have humanized her in regards to the interview he did with Hillary Clinton. But, for Howard Stern to come out and say some things like that, again, this is his friend, and he rarely has ever criticized Donald Trump. I thought that was very interesting. Number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation is 702-257-5396. Again, that number, 257-5396. Why don't we go to Dwayne? Dwayne, you're next up on the Vegas Take. What's going on?
Hey, what's up, Dwayne?
Well, what? This ain't nothing but a monkey show, man, all day long.
This isn't nothing but a monkey show. Okay, why don't you tell us why, and let's have a good debate.
Because he's not doing nothing, man. The macho man, the crackhead. Come on, man.
The crackhead?
Crackhead man, Marcelo.
Well, okay, sir. Okay, let's start from the beginning here. You just attacked our show. I criticize Donald Trump on a daily basis. I am not a Donald Trump supporter. What have I said that you?
Not your show's a monkey show.
Okay, I understand.
Donald Trump
Okay.
is putting on a monkey show.
Okay, I misunderstood, sir. My apologies.
Yeah, come on,
All right.
Brian, man. You know I wouldn't do that to you.
Okay, I appreciate that, sir. I apologize. All right, so okay, no, I appreciate that. Okay, so you're saying he has a show going on, and he's seeing it more as a reality TV show than real life. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, that's what it is.
Okay, so give me a couple things that frustrate you the most about during this pandemic, sir, where you think the president has failed the most. Go ahead.
He's not telling the truth about nothing, and he's misleading everybody. And people need to stop. These news media outlets need to stop letting them go to the podium. When he starts talking, they need to turn the camera on.
I agree. You know, in a perfect world, I think that just the doctor should speak. I don't think the president should speak anymore. I think it's the doctors that should be answering questions and speaking. So I couldn't agree with you more.
That's right, because he's giving people the wrong information. He's talking about himself. He's not talking about the American people. He's trying to say all these other states are left on their own to handle what they have to do. It's not right. He's the president. He needs to step up to the plate and do what the hell he's supposed to do.
Yeah, I hear you. The monkey show. I kind of like that. The Donald Trump monkey show. Hey, I appreciate the call, my man. Thank you. And sorry, I kind of misinterpreted what you were saying there. Thought you were talking about our show. I mean, I got monkeys running around this apartment as well. So this is sort of a monkey show. 702-257-5396 is the number to call. Let's go to Jimmy. Jimmy is next on the Vegas Take.
What's up, Jimmy?
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Good. What's on your mind?
Well, I mean, I've never listened to your show before, but I wanted to listen to local radio because I was trying to figure out what's going on in Vegas. And Brian, dude, you're like the most government. I mean, everything is against Republicans, against Trump. I haven't heard you say one thing against the Democrats.
So you've listened to – hold on a second. Let's stop right there.
And you won't.
JD, first of all, that's not true. JD's lying. First of all, you've listened to our show for how long? 30 minutes?
I just turned it in.
Exactly. And you're making assumption about me because you listened to me for 5 minutes.
Well, I'll tell you what.
No, it's not okay. No, it's not okay. No. It's not okay. Excuse me. Be quiet for a second. I listened to you. Now you're going to be quiet for a second.
Brian, what are you mad about here?
Pot him down.
Are you mad that he's calling you a liberal?
Pot him down for a second.
Is that what you're angry about?
Don't hang up on him, but pot him down for a second. I have been on the radio for 20 years. You have no idea what my opinions are in regards to Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton. Let me give you a piece of advice, sir, or maybe a little bit of education about me. I didn't vote for either of them. I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a liberal. I criticize Donald Trump on a regular basis, and the reason why I have my reasons for doing that because I think he's a horrible human being, okay? So if you want to take that and say, all you do is attack the Republicans, who is the leader of the free world right now?
Brian, you're not understanding what's going on. He's been listening for maybe 50 minutes because it's 9:50 right now, and based on what he's listened to so far, his assumption – and anyone that listened to at the last 50 minutes who had listened for the first time to our show would think the exact same thing.
Well, they're wrong.
Is that you are a Democrat.
Well,
and you're
wrong.
mad at them for assuming that?
Yeah. You know what they say about assumptions?
You're mad at them for listening to you for 50 minutes and, and hearing me be pro-Trump.
Yes.
And you be on the other side.
Yep.
For them to assume that you are a Democrat.
Here's why. Here's why I get mad at people that do that. Okay. Well, what do you mean, Jesus Christ?
It's unreasonable, Brian.
You think it's unreasonable?
I do.
So
I do.
So you think it's reasonable?
I think it's unreasonable to get it. You just asked me a question, right?
And you answered.
I did. Okay.
Okay, and I gave you a chance to answer. So you think it is reasonable for somebody who just doesn't like Donald Trump to be labeled a liberal? You're okay with that?
No, I'm saying I think it's reasonable for someone who listened to the first 50 minutes of this show to assume that you are a liberal and that you don't like Donald Trump.
Well, here would be something better. I'll do one up on you. Brian, are you a Democrat? Brian, are you a liberal? Brian, I know you don't like hold on. Brian, I know you don't like the President of the United States. Can you please tell me what your political affiliation is?
You have a problem with someone coming at you, but you can come at someone else, especially the President of the United States, whenever you want.
My opinion of the President, to me, has nothing to do with...
Or the governor of Georgia.
Or
the doctors.
What does that have to do with being a Republican or a Democrat?
In this study.
What does that have to do with being a Republican or a Democrat?
Now you have an issue with the fact that he didn't ask you a question. He just made a statement that came from listening to the show for the first 50 minutes.
Which is ignorant. And that's the problem with politics in this country.
I don't believe that that's ignorant.
I do.
Because that's all the exposure. That's all the exposure that he has.
It's a gross assumption, and it's a reason why we battle all the time, Republican, Democrat, left and right. Just because you don't like the president, people assume that you must be a hateful liberal or a libtard or a Democrat.
But it comes down to him, instead of asking you a question nicely, him actually creating his own opinion and coming at you with his opinion. Well, that's your issue.
Well, hopefully next time he calls in, he won't assume that I am a Democrat or a liberal.
And that was his name was Jimmy, right?
Yeah.
Well, and Jimmy, and I'm the producer of the show, and I hope you're still listening, as we are happy to have you in our audience. You wanted to find out what was happening in Las Vegas. I would encourage you to listen to the 11 o'clock hour. We've got Desiree Reed-Francois, who's the athletic director of UNLV. We're going to talk a little bit about that, and then also the voice of the Vegas Golden Knights will be coming on at 11:30. So we'll get some good Vegas news in there for you, too.
257-5396 is the number to call. Let's go to David. David, you're next on the Vegas Take.
For taking my call. I used to teach school, and they're worried about these kids not getting their lessons. I say, don't worry about them. These kids have got brains in their head. They watch TV. They listen to the radio. They're not going to miss out on a whole lot of stuff if they don't go to school for a few months. Just let them be. Let them do their thing.
David, if you don't mind me asking, how many grandsons or granddaughters do you have in the Clark County School District, if you don't mind me asking?
probably 6.
So how are your kids? What are their opinions of the Clark County School District?
Well, there's some that like it and some that don't like it.
Right. Well, listen, I think you'll agree with me on this one, David. I think the kids are going to be just fine as long as they have responsible parents. And, yeah, we should be – you know what I mean? I think the kids are going to be okay. I think the people that I'm really worried about, David, quite frankly, and I mean this respectfully, people like you, people that are at a certain age that are more vulnerable to the coronavirus. So, David, I appreciate the phone call. Please stay safe, sir, and we appreciate you calling in. Kids are going to be just fine. 702-257-5396 is the number to call. Let's go to L. L, you're next on the Vegas Take. How's it going?
Hey, what's up, L?
Okay. Quickly, let's have Stein pull up. There was this hilarious Twitter feed with when Fox accidentally let a doctor on with an opposing view. We'll never see him again, but that was only a couple of minutes. It was hilarious, and I don't know the doctor's name. But I also wanted to say about Trump the other day saying about he was number one on Facebook, something that's easily fact-checked. He said he was number one, and he was proud of it. Somebody said that Barack Obama has almost double his his Facebook stuff. So what I'm going to say about this man is he has to be senile, because anytime you tell this many lies, and they're so easily checked and to be proven wrong and proven in his own voice, I think we have to get somebody to take a look at him. He needs an examination.
That makes perfect sense, Al. No, he does have less Facebook followers than Barack Obama. That's true. But you can take it as he is number one trending on Twitter, on Facebook. He is being searched more than anybody else on Facebook. The exposure, the impressions he's getting from Facebook are more than anyone else, which I'm sure is probably true at this point. But you're right, he does have less followers than Barack Obama.
Even if it is true, I would hope, JD, you would agree with me in that during this time of need, during this crisis, global crisis, and the crisis we're dealing throughout the country, the last thing the president should boast and brag about, well, he shouldn't brag about anything, but the last thing he should brag about are the ratings he's getting during these coronavirus briefings and the Twitter followers.
And where did that ratings statement come from, Brian? It's because a couple of left-wing media reporters stated that CNN and MSNBC should not even air the president's task force briefings. That's why he said, hey, my ratings are really high. People want to listen to what I have to say. If you do that, that's a bad decision. That's basically what he was saying.
Okay,
but it didn't just come out of nowhere. You're making it seem like he just, my ratings are no. It was.
So that's a good response?
I think that's actually pretty reasonable. How is it not?
So you think it is okay for the president to brag about the ratings?
He's saying millions of people are tuning in. Why would you not want your listenership and your viewership to tune in?
Well,
why would you not want to educate your viewership and your listenership?
First of all, I'll say that
to me that's what that says.
First of all, I'll say that CNN and MSNBC have aired all the press conferences. They've broken away a few times, and the reason why they broke away was during the MyPillow infomercial and the other CEOs that are talking, which, by the way, I completely agree with. So the fact that they're not airing them, the only network that is not airing the press conferences, as far as I know right now, is NPR. That's it, number one. Number two, again, another inappropriate thing that he said. He said he boasted about his ratings. He's boasting about his Twitter followers. It is the last thing that he should be talking about right now. So we'll just have to agree to disagree on that one, JD. But I actually did like that positive take of the day. Are you prepared to do that every day?
Hopefully, if positive news comes out, yeah.
I like it, actually. I am not opposed to it.
I don't like the music. We need better music, though. We'll
all right, it's your choice. It's your part of the segment, so
Good.
We will leave that up to you. Just try not to choose any alternative rock. That's all, because that's what I like. I know you're not going to choose anything I like. All right, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, his name is Pastor Rick Wiles. He's made some controversial, anti-Semitic, arguably, remarks about Jews in synagogues contracting the coronavirus. Also, he thinks churches should stay open. Pastor Rick Wiles to defend some of his comments. Coming up next, you're listening to the Vegas Take.